During President Trump's press conference, the president and Commerce Secretary said the UK agreed to buy $10 billion worth of Boeing planes. Take a listen.
And what you're going to hear today is there's going to be an announcement in the UK that they are buying $10 billion worth of Boeing planes later today. But I'm going to let the name of the airline announce it because that's theirs to do.
Joining us now, we've got George Ferguson, senior aerospace, defense, and airlines industry analyst for Bloomberg Intelligence here. George, this certainly has catapulted Boeing shares higher on the day. We're sitting at gains of about 4% on the back of this announcement. As we're thinking about who potential buyers could be, potentially hearing that later on today, but this all coming as Boeing for itself is trying to make sure for their own production that they're able to meet some of that demand. What's your read into this?
Well, so I think my first read into this is it's not surprising. So we expect that as the U.S. negotiates trade deals around the world, that Boeing will probably play a prominent role in a number of them, because I think as the administration approaches other governments and talks about balance of payments, it's only natural that our biggest exporter, Boeing, is probably going to be involved in closing that payment gap. And so, again, not surprising, and we're expecting more. When I look at the UK, I really think it's probably IAG Airlines, is probably British Air that would place any order of this size. I mean, there's other airlines like EasyJet, largely a Airbus flyer, a small low-cost carrier, but British Air already has a number of big Boeing wide bodies in the backlog, 777s, 787s. So I could see follow-on orders for some of those.
George, where does Boeing stock go from here? If it is going to be such a key tool in these negotiations, as you point out, that could be good and bad, right? We have the EU saying that Boeing is going to be part of their potential retaliatory efforts as well. So where do you see the stock going?
That's another interesting item. So we've published a report on the Bloomberg terminal where we looked at some of the risks to Boeing from tariffs. And the European Union actually, when we looked at Airbus and Boeing, and we looked at their customers, on both sides of the Atlantic and in the U.S. and Europe, it actually looks to us like Airbus has more to lose on both sides of the Atlantic. So Airbus has pretty good market share in Europe. A lot of the big flag carriers like British Air, like Lufthansa, like Air France fly a lot of Airbus aircraft and are typical orderers. And in the U.S., there's some strong customers as well, like Delta, like JetBlue, like Frontier, like Spirit. And when we summed up all the in-service and the on-order airplanes, Airbus was as big as Boeing in the U.S. Yeah. So frankly, it looks to us like Airbus has a lot of risk in this, and more risk than Boeing. Boeing only has upside from here. So fundamentally, I think it's still in Boeing's favor.
Yeah, really apt context as well. Even on the British Airways front that you made a moment ago here, the largest international servicer that operates out of the UK and would certainly benefit if they were adding on more of those Boeing aircraft. George, while we have you here, we heard the president talk about some of the flaws in the U.S. aviation system that have come to light over the course of this year. The anticipations around what needs to take place for the technology front, from air traffic control all the way to the passenger flight experience, just making its way through airports and whatnot. What are the strategic imperatives that we need to see come forward?
Yeah, it was a great press conference for an aerospace analyst. Look, I think the U.S. airspace really needs investment in the technology that manages airplanes. The airports are going to have to manage flows through the different airports, but the FAA, sort of control networks are always sort of underfunded and old technology, and that technology needs to be improved to guarantee that we have, a really strong ability to use our airspace for decades to come. And so, when the president talks about investing in that and doing a holistic investment, not just investing in spotty in places with, new systems that get cobbled together, to me as an aerospace analyst, that sounds really exciting. That's the important part. They have difficulty hiring people inside that business now. And I think if you get the right technology, you also ease some of those challenges of hiring new controllers. So to me, that's a huge part of the future for U.S. aerospace. airspace.
Yeah, it speaks to something that Delta CEO Ed Bastian has talked to us about in recent quarters, saying to us that the most important thing that he would like to see from the administration is continued investment in the air traffic control system, the control of themselves, and the hiring practices as well here. We'll see what systems go along with that. George, thanks so much for taking the time.
Enjoyed it. Thank you.